Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to another fun-filled episode, a lovable episode of the CryptoManiacs podcast. I think we're going to rebrand this, Let's get out of the CryptoManiacs podcast. Let's just call it the Hive Maniacs podcast. Yeah, sounds good? Better? Cuz I'll be honest with you, dude. I don't care much about any other crypto out there. I just
Well, but you also do have, I mean, NFTs which are not tied to Hive. You got Leo, CyberX, Splinterlands, which does stuff on other blockchains. So we and we're seeing integration into other things, and Speak Network is developing things with other chains. So really, I mean, we were ahead of the curve.
the Hive ecosystem maniacs, or that's a mouthful. Yeah, no. Anyways,
Just call us Hem,
hem.
HEM.
Yeah, hem. Anyways,
Yeah.
welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Apologies if you're watching the live stream. We're a little bit late. I blamed my crazy house for that one. Just an absolute gong show. Tass knows because he has to hear things before we all go live here. I try to keep people quiet in this household. Doesn't always work. So if you hear animals in the background, human beings screaming, I apologize in advance. It's always an adventure in my home. What about you, Tass? Are you having a fun-filled day with your
Yeah,
animals
I
and,
don't have
and
a
humans?
wife, don't have kid living at home, don't have dog, bird, cat, goldfish, or any of those headaches.
So what do you have in your house? Like just
A
like a
fan,
computer, a fan and a computer.
computer,
Yeah.
dirty laundry. Did the
You're
towels yesterday, so I got clean towels.
you're a minimalist in every sense of the word.
Well, I'm not a minimalist. I don't have a big place. I mean, the place that I rent isn't very big, so you only so much you can fit. And but no, I got I'm not a minimalist where I have 100 items in my total possession.
Yeah.
Um,
Perfect.
it's but I do subscribe to the minimalism theory or philosophy, in the sense of I adjusted my habits many years ago and got rid of senseless spending and retail therapy and all that type of stuff. I mean, it's being a minimalist. I think really goes deeper than just stuff. It really goes to the psychology, the attachment, the fears we have, and how much do we hold on to something? Well, I might need that. Like when I had my house tools. Well, I might need that. I had a garage full of my needs that I ended up not needing. So
Right. Yeah.
it's just we live in the West here, where everything's consumerism, and it really is a disease. And I think the act of letting stuff go and culling your stuff and that type of stuff is. I mean, you did it. You just moved, and how much shit did you move that was still in the boxes from the last time you moved?
Dude, if it was up to me, I would get rid of it
Yeah,
all.
well, I
Like
understand you have.
I would literally. That's exactly my thinking. It's like if there's clothes in bags or things in boxes, donate it to Goodwill or something. Like we don't need it. It's just taking up space. Like no one needs it. It's not like I'm sitting there going, "Oh, that one item in a box from 6 years ago that I remember. I
Yeah,
should get rid of
where's that Hawaiian shirt I
it."
bought
Yeah,
when I was a big Magnum PI fan? I mean,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
it really is. And
Mhm.
then we get it in the digital world when we, keep all this stuff, that these files and stuff that we save on our hard drives, and
Mhm.
videos that were sent to us, or whatever the case may be, and it's just all clutter. So
Yeah,
you
man.
know that's I probably could go through. I mean, since I spend so much time on Hive, I don't do a lot of stuff. I mean, I could go through closets and cull stuff. And, I mean, I got a stack of towels sitting next to me that I folded up, and it's like, why do I have so many damn towels? There's a washing machine right
Yeah.
downstairs, and
And
I
you're
live
one
alone.
guy. You have a towel for every appendage of your body. So one for every leg,
Yeah,
everyone for
I
every arm,
guess. I
right?
mean, I probably could have one every day of the month. I mean, it's like, what the hell do I need all these freaking towels?
$5 special at Walmart, man. Come on.
I don't even know where the hell I got them. I mean, I know one girlfriend loaded me up with towels because she'd come over and shower. Didn't like my towels because they were like 10 years old. So now now they're like 15-year-old towels plus the towel she gave me. And it's like,
Very nice. Very nice. Welcome to Housekeeping with John and Task.
yes, yes. Martha Stewart was going to be our guest today, but she was indisposed. So we figured we carried the mantle.
I guess, yeah, with Martha Stewart, my homie Martha. Guess what? Usually we do our question and answers on Fridays here. We were supposed to have a special guest, and it's going to get delayed. So, knowing my amazing ability to stay on top of things, I did not get the questions out for you guys. So, you're going to have to put up with 45 minutes to an hour of Task and me talking about Hive, basically. And
We could change it up, talk about Ethereum.
Yeah, the merge is happening. Apparently, everyone's saying it's going to be the Bitcoin kill. Like this is, I'll give Ethereum this, man. At least they've got like development going on, and there's like cool things happening on chain. What's like and this is, I'm not anti-Bitcoin by any stretch of the imagination, but the Bitcoin maximalists kill me because it's like, what's Bitcoin doing? Like, is there something going on right now with Bitcoin? Is there some big announcement happening? Like, at least just development all the time going on with Ethereum. So the maxis are going to hate me for that. Oh, Bitcoin is sound money. It's like, okay, great, okay, fantastic, wonderful. Anyways,
no, it's fixed money, which means it's pools, and it pulls in the hands of a few.
Yeah,
and I mean, it's yeah. You look at technology. I mean, if you were using a 486 PC, how would you be getting along today? And
486. Wow. Before the Pentiums. Look at you dating yourself. I like it.
Well, I am old, but anyway, I mean, I can pull out a little bit of Windows 3.1 on your ass too. That was the first operating system I used, when Windows 3.1. So anyway, what the fuck was I saying? Oh, Bitcoin. It has its place in history. I like what Dan does say. It's too bad he didn't show up today. He could have said it himself. But the fact is, Bitcoin is kind of a unicorn. It was caught in its place in history. And I think there's going to be a value to it just because of what people think about. But as a technology, where's it going to evolve to? You got to build everything on the second layer, which is fine.
Right.
A lot of having a tight layer is not a bad thing, a tight base layer. But how is this going to be competitive with what Ethereum's doing? Like you said, to their credit. And I believe long-term Ethereum will resolve the problems that we often discuss. The one problem that I don't think it'll resolve is another thing that Dan and Matt often talk about is the proof of stake and the pooling of the coins to the point where the governance is in the hands of a few.
Right. Yeah.
Where DPoS, it doesn't matter how many votes Block Trades has when it comes to the running of the nodes, the running of the blockchain chain. He's just one of 20. He's on an equal level of everything 2 through 20. That's not the case with proof of stake. So if you have 65% of the stake, guess what? You got 65% of the
right. Yeah.
the rewards for running the chain. So, but I think there's a lot of smart people tied to Ethereum. Ethereum's going to work out their problems. They have smart contract capability. I think they're going to be a banker chain, which alleviates the token distribution problem, because I think if they don't end up as a banker chain, the token distribution problem will make them a target for government entities. So I think all will work out well, and I'm holding my Ethereum long term because, and I do hold my Bitcoin long term. I think that has 6 figures in its future. But when we go back to the utility, like you always bring up, at least Ethereum, there's utilities with dApps and DeFi. What is there with Bitcoin? You can send value from point A to point B. Well, you can do that with HBD, Hive, CTP, listeners. I mean, there's 20,000 tokens you can do that with today. Maybe not as securely, but
Right.
you can do it.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's what's the USP, let's say. I mean, I think that Bitcoin has a big brand. It's the grandfather of them, and that's what it's got going for it. You can literally create something and put it out there and say it does the exact same thing as Bitcoin. I mean, look at all the forks of Bitcoin.
Yeah, and
right?
they have not performed nearly as well.
Right, because of the brand. I think it's totally the brand, and that's what you get.
That's why it's kind of a unicorn. It captured a point in history, and it's leveraging that and doing well with it. I mean, it's in terms of what Michael Saylor talks about, some of the stuff he says I do agree with. I mean, he's a total Bitcoin maxi, and he does have some valid points. But in terms of balance sheet and reserves and things like that, Bitcoin could fill that role to a degree. But the fact is that it's going to be the only base layer money out there is absurd to me.
Yeah. Let's transition, man. Get a little closer to home. You're talking about crazy spending. Man, let me just, I can't do a show without talking about my dearly beloved Splinterlands. I'm just becoming like another level of degen. Like, just it's crazy. They announced all of these things this past week.
Wait, before you go on, is there actually another level up or down, whichever way you look at it, of degen when it comes to Splinterlands? I thought you hit the apex or the nadir of that.
So I made a post this week where I'm like, I took one of the meta cards in the game. Like, they have stuffed animals created after this character. Like, this card, the Yoden Zaku card, is like top of the food chain. It's like the same as Kitty and Archmage. Like, these are like the brands of Splinterlands when it comes to the cards. This is how much of a degen I am. I took one of the copies that I had of this, which has been as high as $1,000 for a regular version of this card. I took one and sold it to go get another card that I wanted that is nowhere near the level of what the Yoden card was, just so I could play better in the game. So my investor side went out the window completely. Like, completely out the window. And I was just like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll sell this card so I can go buy another card so I can play better in the game.
But that actually makes sense to me. I mean, not like you said, if you take your investor hat off, I mean, if you want to be a serious player and have fun and win some games and not go on the quarterly long quests like I do,
exactly.
It's you have to improve your deck from a playability standpoint, which obviously is different than your deck from an investing standpoint.
Yeah, and it's a card that's great, and it's I love it. It's really interesting. Splinterlands is unique because it's got like this kind of try before you buy thing, where you can rent cards. And I'd actually rented this card a couple of weeks ago and absolutely loved it. The reason I rented it and tried to play with it is because I was going up against it all the time and losing.
And it was kicking your ass.
Kicking my butt. So I was like, okay, well, I'll get this. Oh, I need some funds for it. Well, I don't want to put any fiat into it. I know what I'll do. I'll sell a Yoden Zaku card. So, and then this morning I'm playing, and there's a card that keeps beating my butt, and I'm like, damn it, I'm gonna go. And I went and bought it today. Again, so like, dude, it's pretty bad. It's really bad how much I'm just
I think
into playing it.
So. This is a different 12-step program than the one we had to approach with your other, because before you were like a shopaholic. You were just going and buying anything Splinterlands. Now at least you're playing. So the question is, do you have a Splinterlands playing addiction that we need to work on. I mean, you kicked that heroin stuff, so you could probably kick
Yeah,
this.
right. The heroin thing I kicked pretty good. Dude, no, it's I see in the more I'm playing the game, I'm seeing where I can improve. And it's
Mm-hmm.
certain cards and where you place those cards. That's the big thing. It's not just the cards. You've got to know where to position the
Yeah,
cards.
yeah.
Right, because it's there's a lot of strategy in it. Like I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's just you got to have this big bank to be able to play into the higher leagues and stuff. It's like, yeah, you need to be investing, but you also got to strategically look at what the team played before, and there's strategy in it, and where you're going to position it, and which splinter you're going to use, and what's the rule sets. There's a lot that goes into it. So over the past couple of months that I've really been getting into it, I've noticed certain things and trends. And I'm like, well, I don't have this card, so I need to spend the money to get this card so I can either counter it or do what they're doing to me.
And
So
has your victory rate gone up?
yeah, not really. Like it has, but it hasn't. Like it's not noticeable. Not to the point where it's like, oh, I made such a great investment and I'm like, crushing it now. It's more long term. To me, it's more long term. It's you build this up over a couple of weeks or a month of playing the game, and every season I'm getting great rewards. And it's just that's the thing with Splinterlands, because there's the chance that you do. You see it all the time. One of the big whales in the game, Gold Matters, he's on Twitter all the time, and he's always talking about it. And he highlights when people, just they play around, and then all of a sudden they get 10,000 SPS in one of their rewards chests. And yeah, it's luck, and it's the very small chances, but it's what keeps you going, and it's amazing what they've developed there, because it does keep you going. A lot of people say, "Oh, the rewards are crap. The rewards are crap." It's like, no, it's what happens if you play and you get that one rewards chest that turns into something that'll, basically make the weeks and months that you've been playing worth it. And that's
Well, and obviously, if you go through, I don't know, hundreds of seasons, your chance of getting the rewards is that much increased. And if you open up thousands of chests, the chance of maybe not getting the creme de la creme, but getting something pretty damn good, it goes up. And it's like, wow.
They're NFTs, man. I mean, you're getting these cards that it might be selling on the market for a penny right now, but what happens when it goes to 3 pennies, or even 2 pennies? You've 2x'd it. So to me, it's just it's actual use case. What we always talk about, it's actual use case for an NFT. And now on top of it, with all the news that they're going with this tower defense game that they're bringing out, and then Rift Watchers, the new pack, the new deck that they're bringing out. Oh man, addiction level, man. It's pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty bad. I'm pretty excited. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's good. I mean, that as somebody who owns Hive, I mean, it's good to see that, because it is tied to Hive. And, Splinterlands is the most successful app or game that we have. And they just keep building. And it's what we talk about: build, 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 build. And Splinterlands of today is not like Steam Monsters was in the first 6 months of Steam Monsters. It's a totally different animal. And it was a lot of hard work and a lot of time and effort and a lot of code and a lot of this and that. But they've done it. And hopefully a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, there will be other games, other applications, other whatever that can say the same thing. And it's, I mean, we are in a position, being involved in cryptocurrency. I was thinking about this morning. I'll probably write an article about it. Round numbers, we'll just call the market cap $1 trillion. Well, there's going to be a 10 or $20 trillion gold rush over the next 5 years. And that 10 trillion is not even including all the NFTs and stuff like that. That's just the coins listed on like a CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap or whatever. I mean, there's a mad gold rush. Do you want to be a part of it? And can you grab yourself a couple $1 million out of the 10 or 20 trillion that's going to be out there? And that's really what we're looking at, because you have network effects, you have games, you have ecosystems, you have networks, you have platforms that they're being tokenized, they're monetized, so you can get a reflective quantity value off the, you know, what is traditionally non, well, it's quantified, but it's non monetized for most people. So, the growth of Facebook was non monetized for most people. Yeah, the shareholders, maybe Zuckerberg, obviously, but for most people, it was non monetized, that growth. Well, now we have a situation where the all of us who have anything in Splinterland, and I'm not huge in Splinterlands, but I've been buying SPS since Neil was on the show. I had bought SPS before. I don't have a huge stake, but you know what? I'm getting like 40% return for staking it on the damn site. I'm not even in the diesel pools. I'm just on the site getting 40%. And the thing is at like 7 cents. So if it gets, or 6 cents, something like that, 6 cents, let's say, if it gets to a quarter, I'm not even talking a dollar, $1.50. If it gets to a quarter, that's a 4x from here. Plus, I'm getting 40%. So the longer it goes, the more I just keep accumulating. And then it'll 4x on top of it. Will it make me rich? No, I don't have enough to make myself rich. But as you were saying, if it goes from a penny to 3 cents, you tripled your damn money.
Right.
And
Exactly.
if you paid nothing for it, you actually have an infinite X, because you have nothing in it, you earned it. And so now, I mean, if I get, 40% plus a 4x, I'll have a little bit of money there. I mean, it won't make me rich or retire, but maybe then I could take that money and go into something else that gets me a 10x. That's how this stuff works. And yes, there could be stuff any of us are holding that could 20x, 50x, 100x. Who the hell knows? Maybe it's CTP, maybe it's listeners, maybe it's Leo, maybe it's Hive, maybe it's, well, HBD wouldn't 100x. I don't know what it's going to be. Could it be Cub, Polycub? Could it be, something else? I mean, how many cards do you have in your deck that you could potentially 20, 50x?
Oh, it's exciting. I mean, yeah, it's gone down over the past, year when it was at the all-time highs, but there's still utility in these things. But it's, you know what, you're mentioning that, and it's kind of like going off in my head about, like CTP, the whole tribe is about entrepreneurship, and one of the things in entrepreneurship, like the mindset, is that you got to be okay with taking risks. And I'm not saying like uncalculated risks and like just throwing your money against the wall and seeing what sticks. I'm not saying that, but actually trying things. And it always reminds me of this story. I can't remember if it was you or Marky who did it first, but one of you guys started talking about, hey, you should probably check out those Steam Hunt tokens you had, because if you flip them on Uniswap, you've got a whole bunch of Ethereum, plus, you've got these Uniswap airdrops. And to me, it was the entrepreneurial mindset to actually try something, like go in and poke around on things. You don't need, I didn't go all in. I back then when I delegated the Steam Hunt, I think I might have delegated 100. Like, I didn't have any steam power back then. I had nothing, but I said, you know what? I'll take a chance. I got some tokens from it, and all of a sudden I flip it. I think I got like 3 Ethereum worth of tokens. And then I used Uniswap to flip them. And then all of a sudden I come up with 400 Uniswap tokens. So it was the mindset of actually trying things and poking around, and not just sitting back and going, oh, well, I don't know, this DeFi stuff is too complicated. I'm not even going to learn about it. I'm just going to, hands off. It's like, no, go out there, poke around, try things. And we're not saying go and spend your life savings on this stuff, but go and try things.
Well, you spent zero for all what you just described. It was, you got involved in something, then you got the opportunity. You had to go mess and learn MetaMask and Uniswap and all that shit, but you did. Then you got your tokens, then you got your money, then you were able to flip it. You got some Ethereum and you flipped it for whatever, or did whatever with the Ethereum. And
I
that's
bought Hive with it. Totally bought Hive with it. Just saying.
With my Steam, I bought Exode and Hive. So
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, it's you have to. The sad part of the matter is, John. The sad fact of the matter is, John. You and I both know. And what's the percentage? 5%, 10%, 15%, whatever. Those are your people who take action. The rest of
Yeah.
the people are full of shit. They don't do anything. And I don't care whether you go into Leo Finance and do it there. I don't care if you go into CTP and look at the statistics there. I don't care if you go to a local church and look at the statistics there. I don't care if you go into the business world. If you go into a company, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It always seems to be the same percentages. And that's the difference is most people simply do not do what's required to be successful, whatever it
Yeah.
is. They're fat. They have shitty marriages. They're terrible parents. They are uneducated. And I don't mean going through school educated. I mean, they just have no common sense, no understanding of anything because they won't research anything. They're terrible
Right.
with money, and all these things, health, relationships, money, whatever the hell else I said. You can go knowledge. You can go onto the internet these days with a smartphone. Go to Wikipedia. Go do a Google search or a DuckDuckGo search, and you can get reams of information for free.
Yep.
For free. And learn about this stuff, how to lose weight, how to lose 100 pounds in a year, how to eat better for better heart condition, how to have a better relationship with your wife or your husband, how to be a better parent. And you'll get a lot of conflicting shit, and then you'll have to make your own decision, see what makes sense, test it out, trial and error it, see what works.
Right.
And it's the same thing in business. But how many people are afraid to lose? How many people are afraid to, oh, I don't want to take my money and put it in that because what if it goes down? Well, shit, what if it triples? We don't know. And, it's funny what you're talking about, trying new things in crypto and going out there. And for months, I've been saying the exact opposite. Get your 5 or 6 that you believe in and go hardcore into them because it's the same type of mindset, albeit in a different focus, is get focused and go all in. Choose your 5, 6 tokens. So I'm not saying going all into one, but choose your 5, 6 tokens, your 5, 6 projects that you believe in. Maybe it's some Bitcoin, maybe it's some Ethereum, maybe it's some Hive, maybe it's some CTP, whatever it is for you. Maybe it's a lot of Splinterlands. Go all in, as much as you can, dividing it by 5, 6. You got time issues, you got all that stuff. But that's where the payoff's going to come from. And you're not going to hit on all 5 or 6. I'm not going to hit on all 5 or 6. But you know what? By getting involved in Splinterlands, at least I have some exposure where if this thing does explode, like people like you and Bulldog and Neil are talking, I'll have a nice multiple there. I don't have enough in Splinterlands to make me rich, but that's okay. It's not a get rich token for me or project. Hive and Leo, those take off like some people talk about. Yes, then I'll be very well off. Bitcoin, I don't have enough. Ethereum, I could have a very nice multiple and a nice stack of change if it gets to the 8,000, 9,000 level. But, certainly not going to be enough to retire off of. And then in the stock market, Tesla, I'm all in on Tesla. I believe in that company. I follow it. I watch it closely. And, maybe I'll be wrong. But I doubt I'll be wrong on everything.
I'm a fan of Elon and his Starlink internet service. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're such a fan. You went and bought Doge. You're all in on Doge now.
Huge Doge fan. Yeah, I mean that's for years one of the brands of CTP. When you did the training, you went through the training and the different things that we offered. We called it the dirty F word, and it was focus. Focus was the dirty F word. And we've said that there's a lot of cool opportunities. And when I say go try things, I'm not saying, go and get into a million different things. I'm not saying that either. I'm saying, you hear, like this was the DeFi example when Cub Finance was launching and, Cal put this amazing kind of tutorial on how to get it done. It was, if you were new to it and you're going through the tutorial, you're like, oh my gosh, this is way over my pay grade. I don't understand it. But if you read through it and you actually tried it and you poked around, then it started clicking. And it literally took me a good 24 hours. A good sitting down and saying, okay, I'm not listening to anything else. I'm going to learn this stuff. I'm going to dedicate the next 24 hours to learning this DeFi thing. that everyone is saying is something that we should probably pay attention to. I love Leo. I'm a huge fan of Leo, and the guys and the team that developed Leo are getting into this. They haven't led me astray. I'm going to spend the time and look into it. And I focused, dirty F word, I focused my attention on that, learned it. Now I'm just sitting there, and whatever Cub Finance does, whatever Poly Cub does, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet when
Automatic.
Polyco came out, it didn't take you 24 hours to do that because you already knew it. You invested time. Polyco came out, okay. You had to learn, okay, I got to change from whatever it is, BSC to Polygon, but you learned that how to do that when you switch from Ethereum to Polygon to BSC. So it was just like, okay, I got to get a little bit of Matic now. Okay, how do I do that? You know, and Matic was actually easier than BNB because Matic, I still go buy it off Hive Engine and move it over because it's there. So I only need like $2 at a time. So I don't really care what I pay for it. It's just for fees. So it's really, you start to look at this stuff and it's like, okay, you learn it, you have the knowledge, you're not overwhelmed by it, you know you can learn it. And now the next thing that comes up, it'll be easier if for no other reason, you know, you can learn this stuff.
Yeah. I think now I'm not saying getting into, well, I don't know. I'll throw it out there for you. See what you think. Getting into crypto and then starting a business, they're similar, but they're different. Like me saying I'm getting into crypto, I need to do my research. I need to do all this stuff. Am I an entrepreneur? Would you say that you need that entrepreneurial mindset to get into this stuff the same way you would say, okay, I'm going to start an online business, so I need to do my homework and research on how to do all this stuff, getting into it? Like, do you think the entrepreneurial mindset you need?
Yes.
And would you consider it an entrepreneur getting into this
stuff?
Yes.
There's two mindsets. There's the trader financial mindset that, you know, everybody's taken to the stock market and commodity market and whatever. Right. But with crypto, and you certainly could do that, but I think, and that's why I've been saying, writing and doing the same thing. Anybody who's on Hive, you're a business. You better get it through your fucking head. You're a business. This is not social media. This is an economy. This is monetized. Stuff you do is rewarded and does have monetary value. It's a business. You know, how do you build your business? Now, there's many different ways of going about it. There's many different areas you can focus on. You can focus on content creation. You can focus on curation. You can focus on, you know, getting involved with developers, rolling things out, doing like I do and just going to different projects and getting some stake in it, then offering up suggestions and, you know, having at the end of underneath John's bird cage for his bird to poop on, you know, whatever.
That works.
So, it's like there's so many different things you can do. You can do what Dan and Starkers are doing, and they have Grand Division, and they of course had to invest some money. I mean, you can be like Jimmy Adamas, who we've had on many different times, and he's just all over the place now. Suddenly, it clicked for him one day about Hive. He's everywhere.
Yeah,
he's everywhere. So you know, and yes, I will preach, Blaine, because I'm in that mood right now. And here's the deal. It's like, here's the fucking opportunity. Are you going to piss it away because you don't focus? Another thing, when you were talking about the dirty F word, I was thinking about the dirty D word, discipline. Do you have the discipline to consistently, you want to do a correlation to an online business? You're running any business. You don't just show up once in a while. You have to be there consistently, day in, day out, hour after hour after hour after hour. And do you have the discipline to show up? Do you have the willingness to educate yourself? Do you have the willingness to have the understanding of what somebody like Blaine goes through, so you're not one of those jackasses sitting there saying, how come the development wasn't done when you promised it last Thursday? Well, we went live and there was 18,000 bugs and it blew up everything, and so now we got to start from scratch. Shut the hell up. You at least understand that. You know, you have an understanding of entrepreneurship, a business that says, hey, not everything's going to work out perfectly. We all can create perfect plans. But guess what? To go from the theoretical plan to the real world, There's usually a stark difference. And it's like these people, even the people who come into crypto with the financial mindset, who are pissing and moaning about bear markets. It's like, what are you, an idiot? You think markets only go one direction? How insane and out you need to be in a loony bin. You need to be under psychiatric treatment because you are disconnected from reality if you think markets only go in one direction. That's like believing in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. And at least Santa Claus, I can see him at the mall every December. You don't see markets only go one direction. If they do, they crash.
Mm,
That's what markets do. So you mentioned risk. You go in
mm,
with risk management. You go into a business with risk management. You try to minimize your risk. You don't go in hell bent crazy. You do your research. You do your market analysis. You do things that are necessary to try to increase your chance of success. But you got to get off the toilet at some point. You can't sit there all day because at some point you have to take the action. You cannot just keep planning. At some point, you have to put the website live. You got to run the code. You got to go knock on a door, try to make a sale. You have to do something. And on Hive, I think it's 110% entrepreneurial mindset. I think the people who come here with the mindset of social media, this is Web3. That means business. You want to profit, you want to benefit, you want tokenization, you want to be rewarded for what you do, have a business mindset. I think there's opportunity because we are building the next generation of the internet. Not only the developers, the people like Blaine working on the code, but all of us have a hand in this because whatever we test out, whatever we utilize, we give feedback, we give ideas, we utilize this stuff. We're part of the network effect. And all of a sudden we can point out problems or offer up suggestions or whatever. And that's going to move us along. But we have to be willing to get in there and get dirty. And a lot of this is trudging. It's not sexy. It's not glamorous. You built successful businesses online. It was a lot of grunt work for you. Blaine is doing a lot for CTP. It's a lot of grunt work sitting there writing that code. I'm sure Block Trades, it's a lot of grunt work for him and his team to write code for the Hive blockchain. Cal, I mean, the list goes. Dan and Starkers, a lot of grunt work, a lot of meetings, a lot of all this stuff. That's what it takes. And people are constantly looking for shortcuts. Here's the shortcut. You want the keys to success: focus, consistency, discipline, effort, adaptability, patience, time spent in there. I mean, how many entrepreneurs who are widely successful, some of the most successful, will tell you what they do in the early days: 100-hour weeks. What did Warren Buffett? Not Warren Buffett. Richard Branson, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs. No, it was Ted Turner. I was watching a video about Ted Turner. Ted Turner, for the first year of his business, he didn't have an apartment. He slept on a couch in his office. He was always at work. Well, the guy became a billionaire. He was putting in the time. How many people show up to Hive and say, how come I'm not getting rewards? Well, you've been here 6 months and you put up 3 posts.
yeah.
What can I tell you?
Yeah, first of all, my Path to Fire said it's a great rant. Fantastic. When we get tasks going, it's always worth the price of admission.
See, I hope John doesn't start editing like our old videos, because one of these days he's going to come up with like a top 10 rant list by task. And he's okay. Here's the 10 best rants for 2022. Test 10 best rants.
Dude, when you started going off, I was like, I was getting frustrated because, like, Blaine can attest to this. Anybody that's been around our little community can attest to this. The excuses that come up. I can't do this. I don't have the money for this. I don't have this. I don't have that. It's all these I can't do these things, or I don't know how to, or I don't. It's the excuse machine. And you know, one of the funny little brands we had with not only Hive but also CTP is that we called it the no excuse program, and we call Hive the no excuse blockchain, because there's truly no excuse. But the disconnect, and maybe you can touch on this. This is the disconnect. People don't understand that what you just said, and I wrote it down because I want to do a post about this next week. Every single thing you do, you need to treat it like a business. And people don't get that it's not just I do it once and that's it. It's a constant, it's a consistency. It's the discipline, you said, to show up every day. Like Pat said. He said, I'm here for 6 months and I post every day. That's that you like, a lot of people will hear that and they'll be like, well,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Can I jump in? Not only does Path post every day, Path is on our show. I see Path right. I see 7 times on my screen right now, Path the Fire. How hard
yeah,
is it to get onto a show like this as the audience and start involving yourself? How
yeah,
hard is it? You want to get Starkers, or they call me Dan's attention? Show up to CTT, go in the Discord. Type in the Discord during the show. You don't have to be a superstar writer or author. Just do that. And you know what? If you say something witty, if you say something, that just makes a little sense, guess what? Starkers reads it on there, just like you do with these comments here. And Dan's sitting there listening, and all of a sudden it's like, my Path to Fire said something like that, and Dan will comment on it. And it's like, that's how you get on people's radar, by
yeah,
showing up in different
yeah.
places. I'm sorry to cut you off and rant more.
No. It's good. It's good. No, it blows my mind that this disconnect is like, well, I say I want this, I say I want that, I want to learn crypto, I want to set myself up and my family up, but then they don't do the simple things, the little simple things of showing up every day. And you don't need to write War and Peace. You don't need to be the Pulitzer Prize winning author. You just need to make a comment. Like, I guarantee you, Blaine is not sitting at his computer right now. He's on his phone. I guarantee you. What? Because he's got a little break and he's sitting there and he's watching. He can just make a little text message on his phone. But, I don't have the time to make comments on Hive. There's an app called Ecency. There's an app called Leo Finance Mobile that you can literally download onto your phone and use when you are sitting on the toilet, even. They're not trying to get too graphic there. But
Yeah, there was a visual we probably didn't need, but oh well, we both used the toilet reference, so okay, fair is fair.
Dude, what's the disconnect? I am on my phone. See, I knew he was. Perfect. What's the disconnect? Why do people form all of these excuses when it's right there for the taking? It's right there for the taking. Here's the nugget. The rewards pool gets paid out no matter what every day, guys. Hive or whichever second layer you want to pick. Why don't you go get a little chunk of it?
Well, if I want to go with a broad psychological analysis of success versus not, there's an old, and I read about this, and it was, I don't know if it was big, but it was discussed 20 years ago. So I'm sure you've heard the same thing. You have your emotional bank account and your financial bank account. And your financial bank account's a result of your emotional bank account. And what's your emotional bank account? Self-esteem, discipline, the ability to overcome fear, the ability to take action when others will not, the ability to keep at it and change direction if you're going down the wrong path. But at least you're going somewhere. If you're on the wrong path, at least you're moving. You can always adjust later. The willingness to do what other people won't, to show up on Saturday, to show up Sunday, to work past 5, all this other stuff that they talk about, like you said, you were talking about with Ethereum. Your success with Cub, Polycub, whatever follows, is because you filled up your emotional bank account by spending those 24 hours saying, fuck it, I am going to learn this. I'm going to learn the Ethereum. I'm going to learn the MetaMask. I'm going to learn the Uniswap. I'm going to do it. And you did it. And so now you have the ability that if suddenly something comes out tomorrow and says, okay, it's on Ethereum or it's on one of the EVMs and you need to use your MetaMask, you're like, okay, you're going to piss and moan because you hate Ethereum, but you will do it. You know how to do it and you'll get it done. And so if there is an airdrop, if there is an opportunity, you can get involved with it and financially benefit because you put in the effort. And if you start at 4 a.m., can you stop at 5 p.m.? Yes, you can stop at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So there is the correlation by what is the disconnect Because people don't want to do the work. Everybody in this day, especially in this day and age, I think it's getting worse, where it's, oh, you deserve this. It'll come to you. Well, guess what? Why is the United States, I presume it's similar in Canada. I think it's not quite as bad over in Europe, but it's getting close. They're over 50%. But the US has a 60% obesity rate. And everybody says, well, it's the food, it's the food, it's the food. And I grant the food has gotten a lot worse in the last 30 years, but 40% are still not morbidly obese. So obviously there's a choice here, and how many New Year's resolutions do we hear? Oh, I'm going to lose weight. And what do? They sign up for the gym. They go buy new clothes to work out in. They do it for a week or two, and then they stop. But what happens compared to you? What was it, a year and a half ago, when you all of a sudden got a diagnosis that you didn't exactly like from your doctor? Well, now you were motivated to do something that you were not motivated to do before. The question is, do we wait till our ass is on fire? The old adage is, success comes from either inspiration or desperation. Do you wait till your ass is on fire before you start to do something? Or can you discipline yourself, condition yourself to go and do it, to create the success before your ass is on fire? And I think the answer is looking at people, and I look at this with Hive. I look at this with CTP. And what you guys are doing, I don't know the ins and outs. I don't have the stats. But you know what? I have the stats without knowing the stats. Of all the people who went through the CTP training and came to your program, I bet it is at most 15% ended up being successful and utilizing what you guys put forth for success. Why? Mm-hmm. Because 85% of it would rather make excuses. It's a lot easier to make excuses. It's a lot easier to blame you. It's a lot easier to say, oh, you guys are crooks. You guys mislead. You guys are just taking money. You guys are all this bullshit. Instead of looking at the mirror and getting honest with myself and saying, listen, these guys put together a program. I didn't even need to pay money. It was free, at least at the start. And I didn't do it. How many posts have you written, you personally, John, written on Hive that say how to be successful on Hive, basically some variation on it? There's dozens of them that you've written. If you do a Google search, how to be successful on Hive or how to make money on Hive, I bet if you do a search, there's probably hundreds of articles people have written with tidbits and pointers and all that stuff. Does anybody do that? Nope. Does anybody even look for the information, let alone apply the information? And so now I get people on Hive, well, we got to take care of the poor. Take care of them damn selves. Here's the opportunity. And you know what? This is a Western phenomenon from my perception. You know who doesn't have this mindset? The Nigerians. You talk to, we had Belimo on air a few months back. Belimo doesn't have that mindset. Belimo got his wallet, his MetaMask wallet, hacked for 10 grand. Was he blaming everybody else? Was he blaming MetaMask? No, he said, I went and I downloaded an app, or I went to a site I shouldn't have, and guess what? They got in. He took responsibility. But you don't get that in the West here, where it's like, oh, well, give me everything, give me everything, give me everything. It's like, yeah, we'll help you out. I mean, how many people have come to you, John, or Blaine, you're paying attention, have come to you, or Eliana, if you're coming to you and saying, listen, how can I help CTP? How many people have done that? Say, listen, I want to be in your circle. You're 3. You're always complaining you don't have enough people. I have time. What can I do to help out? There's a quick entry into the inner circle. Are you people going to turn somebody who comes to you, John, says, I'd like to help out. What can I do? Are you going to turn them away? No. You have plenty of stuff that you need done. But how many people do that? How many people take the initiative to contact you on Discord or any other places to find you and say, how do I get involved and help out?
They contact us on Discord to let us know everything that's broken all the time.
Exactly. That's exactly it. They can find your ass. Obviously, they know how to find you. But it's to bitch. It's to moan. It's complain. It's to point the fingers. It's to tell you how fucked up you are when you guys are out there trying something. Why aren't they saying, listen, you guys have this all screwed up. I got a lot of great ideas. Can I come and help you out and show you what needs to be done? I mean, I don't know if that approach would work, but you get my point. It's like, okay, fuck it. You guys think it's broken? Come in and fix it. How's your coding skills? Oh, you don't have any? Shut up. Then leave Blaine alone. If you don't know how to code, you can't tell Blaine what he's doing wrong because you don't know what he's doing. it's just,
Mhm.
it's always, I go back and we're going to all the cliches, but they are right. There's another saying: a successful person. Wait, what is it? An unsuccessful person tells you what they're going to do. A successful person shows you what they did.
Right. Yeah. I'll give you a point here, a real life example. When we relaunched CTP a few years ago, we were really excited, really pumped up. It was me and Blaine. And we always would do our live shows and we'd say, hey, you know what? Like, we're not saying that CTP is the be all end all, but if you really want a quick way to win at this, go learn absolutely everything about CTP, the ins and outs of it, study it, learn it, create a product about it, and we will promote the crap out of it for you. We will become your number one affiliate for this program. Dozens and dozens of people were at the live show, hundreds of replays on the video. We had one person take us up on that offer. That one person ended up creating something called the CTP Blueprint. They made an entire business about it, made some money from it. Blaine and I promoted it. It became a staple. Here's the next step that happened. That person's name was Eliana. She's now our partner in this. Now, I'm not saying that you go and do this with Task, and Task becomes your business partner. You go to Dan and Matt and they become business partners with you and stuff. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you want to get on people's radar, take action. Go do something, talk about something, write about something, learn about something, and you don't know what will happen. Eliana didn't show up and say, oh, I'm going to become business partners with Blaine and John because I
Maybe
really
she
love
did.
it.
Maybe she
did.
told herself
Yeah.
3 years before that happened, I'm going to be business partners with these people. Maybe she set that as a goal or her intention and did whatever it took to get there. I don't know.
It's true.
Probably not. I wouldn't do that.
I
But
don't
anyway,
think anybody really wants to be business partners with Blaine and John. I don't think that's something you
I
woke
don't
up
know.
every day
How
and go,
much did you like bribe her to do that, to join the circle?
dude, that's the thing. It's just like she did it because she wanted to step out of the comfort zone and step out of the same old. Because I'm when we were doing this, we would get 30, 40 people to our live streams when we relaunched. People, everyone had the same information. How come only one person did it? Now, we've had a lot of people throughout the years show up and say, oh, we're going to do it. And they start doing a few things. They usually give up. I give them, a couple months, 2 or 3 months, and they don't become millionaires. So they give up and they go on to something else. And then they come back in like a year. It's happened 20 years of doing business. I've seen this constantly.
We both. I've been on Hive for 5 years. You're almost at 5 years. How many? Same thing. We see people on Hive. They leave. They come back. They leave. They come back. And of course on Hive they have to write an article telling you they're leaving, then they have to write an article telling you they're back.
I hate Hive. Oh, I've looked everywhere else. Hive is the best.
Like, yeah, I'm back. Did you guys miss me? Nope. Didn't even think about you, quite honestly.
Didn't even think.
It's. I mean, why aren't people successful? Because it's the habits. And it's ironic when you look at a lot of people who have, let's say, business success, not all of them, but many of them are in fine health. Many of them have the discipline and apply the discipline, not only to their business lives, but to their health and their nutrition. They have good relationships. Again, not all of them, but many of them, they have good relationship with their kids. And, they take that same approach in all they do because it becomes habits. If you got shitty habits, you're not getting anywhere. And what is sitting there watching TV for 7 or 8 hours every night getting you? What is sitting there on Facebook 5 hours a day getting you? How many people who are highly successful in business are on social media? They're probably on LinkedIn. Maybe that's it. Yes, I know there's some people who use social media for their businesses, and there's people in online businesses. Social media is very important. But your average business, the average business person is not spending all their time on Facebook. They may incorporate that in part of their sales process. So then it's, part of their list building, their lead building. Maybe they sell direct, that type of thing. But they're not sitting there chit-chatting and worrying about politics and all this other stuff, because you know what? If you have time to protest, complain, bitch, whine, moan. That's not what successful people do. They see a problem, they don't bitch, whine, and moan about it. They go and fix it. They go do something about it. Or they ignore it and say, listen, there's nothing I can do about it, but I can do something about my business here. I can provide for my family. I can provide for my friends. I can get enough money so I can take care of my mother when she gets old. Whatever people's desires are. But, most people don't want to do that. Instead, they just rather show up for work and work 40-hour week, leave at 5 o'clock, and spend most of the time bitching about what an asshole the boss is. And not saying that the boss isn't an asshole. I mean, there's probably a very good chance that's the case. But, how many people are, what's the term? High producers.
Yeah.
In whatever field. I mean, they're just not, whether it's sales, whether it's accounting, whether it's the law. You got some attorneys out there who get paid, $2,500 an hour in court because they're the best. They work on their craft. They hone their craft. How many others are just, hung out a shingle and hardly make any money?
Yeah, and Blaine just said, Hive Engine charges 1% to swap, and we just said it's too much, so we'll just create our own, and we funded it ourselves, and it's might not have the liquidity that Hive Engine does, but it's out there, and it's an option, and people use it every day. So you can complain about something, or you can build.
And the other thing is the nice part about what Blaine does in this arena. Once it's out there, the time invested drops significantly. The most time put in there was to create it. So yes, there's some maintenance. You got to add things, and maybe that breaks some things. But proportionally speaking, all the investment in terms of the time was done at the beginning. And once it's out there, it's part of your ecosystem, your platform. And so now you keep adding other things and other things and other things, and it grows and it blossoms and it expands. Well, guess what? You do the same thing, John, with your content. Every time you write a new post, guess what? The number of posts you have on Hive expands. Your library of posts grow.
I've called it a portfolio of value for like a decade, because that's what I think. You're investing in your portfolio, and just like you said, you just keep adding, and then someone comes to you and goes, "Holy crap, this guy's been adding for he's been writing for 10 years." It's like, yeah, how do you do it? You do it one day at a time. I mean, this is my published book. I always joke. I published a book back in 2007. How did I write a 160-page book? I literally took my blog posts and put it into a book. I'd written a blog for 4 years prior to this and put it out there. I mean, that's how you do this stuff. And
yeah, I mean, you don't write you don't write 10,000 posts. You write one post, but you're doing it 10,000 different times. Exactly. And that's what it takes. I don't know. I mean, I think most people are failing in crypto, especially Hive. I mean, cryptocurrency, that's a broad term. Hive is much different than Bitcoin, as we explained. You buy Bitcoin, you play the markets, you don't play the markets, you hodl, you do whatever you do with Bitcoin. There's going to be your success or failure, basically the market. Ethereum, probably something similar, although there's different facets, but a lot of them are financially related, similar thing. Hive, it's a totally different arena. You can come in and you got a decentralized database. I'm building Leo Glossary. People can build whatever they want. Now, is it going to be a direct monetary payout? No, I don't get any payout for Leo Glossary. I decline rewards. Most of the stuff I'm putting up there, the way I'm building it, is in rewards anyway, to be perfectly honest, not each post. So, but I'm using the database to build something bigger that I don't know of ultimately what it's going to morph into, but the possibilities are there. So it's like, get it built first. Nobody told me to do this. I didn't need to get permission from anybody. I took the initiative. There's those opportunities there. How it's going to relate to other projects, other people, I don't know. I don't know down the road. But maybe this Leo Glossary at some time is integrated into CTP. I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I mean, who knows where the paths will take us. But at least you get moving in a direction and you get something going. And, we just don't see that. And, how do I start on Hive? Write a damn blog post. Go out and lay out 50 comments. Go to other people's posts and start leaving comments. Get on calls like this and get into the comment section. Go on the CTT call, get on the Discord. Go talk to people. Get out there and stop bitching. Say, hey, where can I help? I mean, we had Eddie Spino on a couple of weeks ago. He's probably one of the best examples on Hive of a guy who just showed up and went all over the place. And I mean, Dan even hired the guy. Dan pays the guy now directly. He's an employee of Dan because Dan realized this guy's always here. I got to hire this guy. I mean, he's always here. Might well pay him and get stuff done.
Yeah.
Do you think Eddie would have done that if he put up a blog post and said, "How come people like they call me Dan don't pay me any attention?" Dan wouldn't have even seen it, or if he saw it, he would have ignored it. But Eddie is now a confidant. He's in the inner circle. He's a part of Ragnarok and Speak Network and 3Speak and all of that because he put in the effort. He just showed up and basically said, "I'm here," and started doing shit. There's one Eddie Spino. For every one Eddie Spino, there's, I don't know, 1,000 non-Eddie Spinos. People who say, how come I don't get this? How come I'm not getting rewards? How come I did your CTP stuff for 3 months and I'm not worth $10 million? Well, guess what? Success, making a lot of money, all that stuff, contrary to the people who sell you programs, it's not easy.
No.
It's very, very hard. And if they're telling you it's easy, they're lying to you because they're just trying to upsell you the next $69.99 product. And whether that's $69.99 or $6,999, they're both out there, but they're still trying to upsell you the next product.
Yeah.
They've never done it. They made their money selling, success products. That's all they've done. It's like you guys, and I haven't gone into the CTP and all the stuff you put out. I haven't gone deeply into it, but I don't get the impression at any time did you guys ever try to sell a get rich quick scheme. No.
We basically teach people to show up every day, put in the effort, build your brand, build your list, build your blog, get out there, know people, adapt and adopt new technology. And it's just not sexy, man. People don't want to hear that. They want to hear buy this product for $97 and you're going to be rich in 30 days. That's what they want. They don't want the real. They want this made up thing. But
or you might get a group of people if you put together seminars or you put together screencasts where you charge for each one, they'd pay you till the end of time just to keep listening, to keep gathering the information, the knowledge that you're sharing, but never take any action. Because if I pay you $20 to be on your streamcast, I learned something, okay, but then I don't have to do anything. So that comes back to the 5, 10, 15%, whatever it is. And it's in all walks of life. It's in all industries, all businesses. Who is willing to put in the work? That's what it comes down to. And unfortunately, people aren't willing to put in the work. They'd rather come home, flip on, the TV and sit there and veg out for 6 hours, or sit there on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever. And it's like, well, what is that getting you? Is that getting you any closer to your goals? And I understand we all need time to recharge and watch a ball game and, root against the Bills. I mean, that's always a good, healthy practice to do. But I say this as a Giant fan. We haven't even gotten slaughtered in our first game yet. But, it's the percentages. And we see it everywhere. You guys have been seeing it for 10, 15 years in your business and your trainings and your sessions and whatever. It's not changing. In fact, if anything, it's only getting worse and worse and worse. And when you think about it, and I mean, this is just if you step back and look at the big picture. In the developed world, I can't speak for the non-developed world, but in the developed world, in the West, we've never had it easier. I mean, who listened to this show went out and had to kill their dinner last night?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Who had to go forage for food? You run down to the supermarket and you can buy even food from other countries. So the idea of and starting a business, I mean, you can start a business online. You can start a business on Hive with no money. I mean, when has it ever been easier? Now, it doesn't mean it's a cinch. It's going to take a lot of time, effort, and hard work. But compared to what it took, think about what it took to start a business 100 years ago and the reach you had. You couldn't sell something globally. If you started a business, you were like a seamstress and you could like perform the service you provide. Your customer base was within, 20 miles, a 20-mile radius. That's it. You couldn't sell to people across the world. Now you put some stuff together. I mean, you and
Put
I
it
are
on
talking
Shopify,
here.
and there you go. Yeah.
Well, you and I are talking. We're in two separate ends of the North American continent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're not even in the same damn country.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the internet does. That's what digital products do. That's what this distribution network and distribution system does. And then yet people complain. Well, I can't do anything. I can't get anything done. Well, how many articles have you written in your online business? Have you shown yourself to be an expert? Why should anybody trust you? It's just this is where the disconnect is the disconnect. Why it's there, I don't know. Maybe people are afraid of success. I mean, it's a hell of a lot easier, John, for me to blame you for my failures. So,
Oh,
I mean, I
absolutely.
know that's one of the big things. It's a lot easier to blame others.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot easier to wimp out. It's a lot easier to cower. It's a lot easier to avoid making those cold calls or following up or calling that pissed off client or having to go solicit new business or having to sit down and try to figure out a new strategy because the strategy that I'm working in my business isn't working. How to save my ass from bankruptcy. How to have money on the line, to go into the markets and lose money. It's not easy. It's easier to stay on the sidelines and choose the safety.
Dude, some will, some won't. So what?
Well, some will, most won't, I would say.
Yeah.
And I use CTP just because you're supposed to be attracting entrepreneurs. You talk about entrepreneurship, and yet you're always talking about how it's just the three of you. Who the hell is stepping up to help out CTP? Here's an opportunity. Now, what's the opportunity? I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know this. Everybody's got to look at it through their own resources, their own abilities, their own time, their own skill set. But I can guarantee you there's probably 100 different ways that you, Blaine, and Eliana could come up with areas you need people to step in and help out with. And if you guys can say it, okay, maybe not all 100, but other people, other entrepreneurs should say, hey, there's an opportunity here. And you don't know where it'll lead. Maybe it goes nowhere. But you know what? At least you put yourself out there. And even if it's a failure, if I came to you and said, I want to try this, and you guys thought about it and said, okay, let's do it. It's a failure. If I come back again a second time and say, okay, that one didn't work, but I got another idea, you guys will at least listen because it's like, okay, we tried something, it didn't work. The effort was put in. This guy showed himself to be disciplined, focused. He put forth the effort. The idea didn't work. Not all ideas do work. Well, there's another area we can try.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this isn't brain surgery, and you don't have to be very smart to do. I mean, a lot of times the most successful people aren't very bright. I mean, they aren't.
Yeah.
They just work harder. They're willing to take risks.
Stubborn, man. Yep.
What's that?
They're stubborn. They're willing to sleep on a couch instead of having their own apartment.
They got more balls than brains.
Mm.
But they're willing to take the chance, put themselves out there, do what needs to be done, do the grunt work, do the little things. I knew a guy. He was a very successful insurance agent, and he lived up where I grew up, and we were about an hour outside the city. And he was successful. He originally started his business down in the city and moved it up after, he started a family. And he still had clients decades later. And he said, you know what, why I kept those clients? He said, because if the bond wasn't there at the end of business, I made sure I got on the phone with the insurance company, got the bond the next morning, got in the car, drove an hour down to the city to the work site to hand them the bond so they could begin work, because I knew they were breaking ground the next day. They needed the bond. And he said, most people aren't willing to do that because, oh, I only made $25 off this bond or $50 off the bond. I'm not going to spend more money in gas and tolls trying to deliver the bond. Well, you know what? When you do the little things like that, that's why people come back, because that $50 in this guy's pocket saved that client, who knows how much, if guys were standing around waiting for the bond. And this guy could have just said, listen, I'm on the phone with the insurance company. They're slow. They're an hour behind in Chicago or wherever. They're in the Midwest. I mean, there's nothing I can do. I'm on it though. And, the client would have been pissed off, but said, okay, you're doing what you can. But this guy went over and above. I mean, are you willing to do that? That's what it always comes back to. And, you don't have to do that every day, but if the situation comes there, you have to be willing to do it. What are you willing to do? And I've written about the ownership mindset. I've written about the dedication to Hive. I've written about consistency, and you've covered a lot of the same things. How many people are doing it? And people say, yes, yes, yes. The comment sections. I mean, you write an article like that, you'll get like 400 comments, and everybody's like, Hive's great. Yeah, I'm dedicated. I'm here for the long haul. I'm doing this. And it's like, well, what the fuck are you doing? You wrote a comment. Well, what are you doing? Well, I write an article. Well, yes, you get that for rewards, but what are you really doing to build this place? Are you part of the Twitter army and you out there trying to promote Hive? That's part of it. Good thing to do. Are you involved with other projects? Are you an Eddie Spino? And obviously I don't need to know the answer for every single person, but are you like an Eddie Spino? Are you involved in CTP, STEM Geeks, Bro Fund, Leo Finance, whatever? Are you in there doing stuff? How many are? And I know all of them could use more people. I guarantee you, if somebody got on the DM with Marky on Discord, said, Marky, I have some ideas for STEM Geeks. I know you don't have a lot of people helping you out. I'd like to help you out. I got some ideas. I'm sure Marky would listen to anybody. Marky's a whale on Hive. He has a lot of Hive. And he'd listen to you.
Yep. Which reminds me, we got to get him back on the show.
Well, Marky, he has a lot of Hive, but he's very tough to pin down in terms of commitment. I think he's a true. Blaine would appreciate this. He's a true developer. It's like he's always expecting something to go wrong, so he can't make a commitment because odds are something's going to be on fire that day that he commits to. And that's the life of it.
That's the life.
But it's if we keep going back, it always goes back to the basics. If you want to be fit, okay, there's a lot of different approaches. You can read and follow different, types of diet plans and exercise plans and high intensity versus low intensity or whatever you want to choose as a path. But the basics are the same thing. You still got to show up at the damn gym. You still got to avoid the junk food aisle at the supermarket or the fast food place because that stuff's not in agreement with your goals. You have to go get some fruits and vegetables and eat them. Yeah. It doesn't take. I mean, the basics never change, and the basics of Hive and business building are the same. So I went on for a long time to get back to your original question. Yes, I think it's all entrepreneur. I think you have to have an entrepreneurial mindset. And if you don't, your success on Hive will be hindered to a degree. You are not going to get to the maximum level you could. I would look at your Hive account as a business. You get compensated. You get money coming into your wallet. That's a business. How can you grow and expand your business? How do you market yourself? How do you present yourself? What do you think? How do you engage with other people? Do you argue over bullshit online and just piss people off and get into flag wars? Or you just sit here and say, I'm in a business. Okay, this stuff sucks that it happens, but hey, you own a shop in a certain town and there's all kinds of strife going on with the city council and the politicians and the raising taxes. And you're just like, okay, but I got to meet payroll next Friday. Do you spend time trying to make payroll and working your business, or do you go get involved and spend all day arguing the politics? Most people go try to make payroll. They show up in their business, go to work. That's what we have to do, in my opinion. I don't know how you feel about it, if you think I'm all the way out in left field on this shit.
Dude, this is just a round of applause for that. That was pretty epic, man. I mean, we're talking about making a list of the Path to Fire said a task rant compilation. This has got to be up there. Must
I don't have that many.
Well, this is the second one, the second epic one. We've had a few, like, here.
Well, we had a few. I mean, the last one was because I just get tired. I guess it's tied to this, but you just caught me on the day. What set it off last time? And since I don't go into Discord and stuff like that, you were sharing how you and Blaine and CTP were being attacked, and you're too slow and this and that, and you were just sharing how you guys got blasted. And this is after I was watching Cal get blasted by certain people about what was going on with Leo. And it was just like, part of that blame game. And it's like, well, of all the people that blasted you two, how many of them said, okay, now that I blasted you, I'll help you fix it? None. And it's like, they just want to sit there and critique. And it's just, and I see it all over the place. I see it with Leo Finance. The number of people who are involved in Leo Finance who absolutely do something versus the people who don't do shit, it's overwhelming majority. And I know for a fact, without seeing any numbers, I'm sure you guys have numbers, the number of people who actually contribute to CTP instead of complaining, it's the overwhelming majority sit there pissing them off. We need 100 more Jimmy Adamises. Jimmy's not sitting there complaining. It's not because he's this positive Zen type dude. I mean, maybe he is. I don't know. But
it's just a hustler, man.
Exactly. He's a hustler. He's too damn busy to complain.
Yeah.
He wakes up, he gets on high, or I don't know if he doesn't when he wakes up, but when he gets on high, he has a list of shit to do. Okay, I got to do my listeners. I got to do my threads. I got to do this. I got to do my posts. I got to do this. He's got a pile of shit to do.
Oh, and he also works out religiously.
I'm just talking his hive. Yeah.
No, I know, but I mean, just like it's the correlation, like you said, the guys that usually treat this stuff good usually take care of themselves, usually, and it's like Jimmy's a great example. So,
yeah, I mean, Blaine, he has the background. He was the military. I read a stat one time that said the CEOs, 2/3 of all Fortune 500 CEOs had a military background.
Oh, yeah. Blaine,
and the idea behind that was they had the discipline, they had the focus, they had the ability to do what needed to be done. And they didn't have the luxury of excuses because, and that stems from boot camp. I mean, the first thing you do in the military is if you're full of excuses, your arms are going to get and chest going to get worked out. You'll be doing some push-ups or doing some running. They don't take any excuses. And discipline is something that's drilled into them from the get-go. And, there's a very famous video of some general on YouTube, and he was giving a commencement speech, and he said one of the biggest lessons he had from the military was making his bed each day. And, the guy was in his 60s or whatever, so this is like 40 years after boot camp. And he said, the reason why you make your bed every morning is because then you're guaranteed of doing at least one thing right. And you get it out of your way. The rest of the day can go to piss, but at least you did that right. You start the day on a winning note. And, I mean, how many people make their bed every day? How many people make their bed every day to where it could pass inspection? Not half-assing it, not just throwing the cover over the pillows, but doing it to the best of your ability. And that's, part of what it all tells. So it just keeps coming back. And so what set me off on this one? I don't know. Just simply the fact that the reason why things aren't moving ahead and projects aren't moving ahead is because people have the piss poor attitude and piss poor work ethic.
I'm grateful for this, man. Grateful for the talk, and I've got kids screaming, so I'm muting myself when we're doing it. But awesome show, man. Hopefully we got special guests next week. We do have Reseller on the 13th for sure, so that'll be fun. Talking NFTs, Splinterlands, and a whole bunch of stuff.
Man, actually, I'm not fucking up. I fucked up by letting you schedule the guest because I'm just getting slammed with Splinterland stuff here.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's what happens, dude.
Well, I can't even say that. I was the one who invited Neil on.
Well, you know.
And then who did we had Raymond. He talked Splinterlands too.
Oh, we had Bulldog too, like a month ago, right? So yeah.
Yeah, well, Bulldog cut it short. We probably should get Bulldog on again. He was cut short. He had a time issue, so we probably should get Bulldog on for a full show, especially with the new stuff coming out. It'd be good to get his take on it. He is very insightful for all you Splinterlands fans, and so John can sit there spend an hour drooling.
Just sit there drooling at all of the Splinterlands stuff. Dude, have a great weekend. Everyone listening, have a great weekend. The kids are getting crazy, so I gotta cut it off before the screaming starts too much. So you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday or Tuesday. Later.
Ciao.